Hey guys, welcome back to Adventure Camping. Tactical Nut here, and today we have another knife review for you. Today we're going to be talking about the SOG SlimJim. Now I got a lot to say about this knife, so I think you'll be really interested to hear about this one, so stay tuned. Alright guys, as always, let's go ahead and get the specs out of the way. So we can really dive in and start talking about this blade here. First off, you have a 3.16 inch blade made out of Osage steel, 7.4 inches overall, weighing in at about 2.4, maybe 2.7 ounces. It is a lockback design, as you can see here. I'll push in, close, spring assisted, which I love. If you watch this channel, you know that. And of course, as always, my favorite, the deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible left to right. And that is it. It's going to be tip up only. Now, one of the things that really stood out, I've wanted this knife for a long time and just never pulled the trigger on buying it. But look how thin this bad boy is. Now, just to give you a size comparison, this is what I'm carrying with me right now. I got the Ganzo 735. Now in testing and review, stay tuned. You know, I'm really starting to like my Ganzos. But, just as a size comparison, look at that. I mean, you could literally fit the SOG inside of the Ganzo. Now, that's one of the main reasons why I wanted it. Super thin, 420 stainless steel handles, as you can see here. Got SOG written in there, which I really like, is cool. Since it is stainless steel on both sides, it does not thrash your pocket at all. And it's so thin and so light that you really don't even notice that it's in your pocket. I mean, it's pretty incredible. Does have some jimping here on the back of the blade, which is very functional. Doesn't dig into your thumb too much, but definitely gives you a good purchase. As you can see, got the Tanto style design, little SOG logo there. Now, with all of those wins, right, there's a couple of things that I have to say that have kind of bothered me, I won't say that I don't like the knife. I'm not going to say that at all. But there's made some things that, the quirks that it has, makes me not fall in love with it. Let's just say that. Now first, just to let you know, when I got this, I was walking through Walmart one day, and I walked past the cabinet that has all the knives and stuff in it, and I just happened to look down, and there was this package just sitting at the bottom, right? But it had this tag on it, and as I was walking past, I saw SOG and $25. And I was like, what? So I was walking past, I stopped, looked down, I gotta take a step back, right? So it was a SlimJim. Now, since I've been wanting this, I mean, every time I looked, if you go on SOG's website right now, they have it for about $75. Street price, most places around $50 in the stores, $50 to $60 if you buy it in a store. I have seen it on Amazon as low as $35. And that was just today. So when I walked past this and saw $25, I had to stop. I was just like, oh, okay. There's no way I'm going to keep walking past this thing. Now, when I got it, one of the things that started having trouble, and I've kind of trained myself out of it now, but let me see if I can get it to have it happen again. But what was happening, and I know I've been doing this so much with this knife, but what was happening is the way I was gripping it at first was engaging the lockback, and then it would stop like right about here when it was opening. And it did that a bunch at first. Sometimes it would fly open perfectly, and sometimes it would stop. And that was my first thought, is that it had to be why the person returned it. Now, like I said, it was a training issue, and I've trained myself out of it. So now, every time I flip it, I love my spring-assisted knives. So now it works flawless every time, but it took some getting used to not grip the lockback. Another issue that I had with it is one night while making a campfire or a fire in the fire pit here on the back porch, I wanted to test the spine on it, see if it had a good 90-degree spine for a fire steel. And as I grip it, I go to strike the fire steel, and as soon as I did, that thing just did like this. And I did it a couple more times, and each time it shut on me. And I was like, man, I don't understand. Is this lockup that weak, right? Then eventually, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see the next day, picked it up, not thinking, did it again, but this time it closed, cuts my finger. Not, you know, too bad, but it looked worse on Instagram than it was in real life. But once again, it was another training issue. It was the way I've always held a knife to strike a ferro rod with. What you're doing is you're gripping and disengaging the lock because you're holding that lock back, right? So now, if I hold it like this, strikes a ferro rod flawlessly, right? Showers with sparks. It's an awesome 90-degree spine. So because of that, you know, it's like one of those where, man, do I really want to keep carrying this? Because like it still will happen on a rare occasion where I will pull this out of my pocket, go to hit it, and if I'm not paying attention, I can hit that lock back and prevent it from opening all the way. Now, unlike, you know, most other lockbacks that I have, they're all down into the frame. This one is raised above it. So, easier than what it should be to disengage. Now, this does have a lock on it. So you can, if you're thinking about it, right, do this so that you can't disengage the lock by accident. But my thinking is, I shouldn't have to do that, right? I should be able to use my knife like I normally would, pretty much any other knife, in order to use it in all my day-to-day. See? Just happened because I was holding the lock back as I was talking. Now, do I still like the knife? Lanyard hole. Lanyard hole is pretty small. You're not going to get paracord through there, so you'd have to use something else. Since you've noticed I never put lanyards on my knives, doesn't bother me. But, did it again, see? Do I want to carry a knife that I have to, for me personally, I love to switch out my knives. I wanted, you know, I've got a whole bunch of them. I like to, depending on what I'm doing, where I'm wearing, where I'm going, have something that goes with what I'm doing. I like the variety. So do I want to have one that every time I pull it out of my pocket, or if I'm putting it in a rotation, kind of have to retrain myself on how to hold it and how to deploy it? Now, for a lot of people, you may buy 1 or 2 knives a year, or one even less than that. You know, you get one, you like it, you stick with it for a long time. I test and review knives, and even if I didn't, I would still be buying them pretty frequently. Maybe not as frequently as I do now, but I would keep buying them, right? So, as you can see here, there's very little room, or basically no room, between the thumb stud and the frame. Fits right into one of those little grooves. Not really an issue as far as getting to it to deploy it. It's just that lockback being raised, getting in the way, right? See? Now, I don't know. I keep going back and forth on this, ladies and gentlemen. Would I recommend this knife? In a lot of ways, yes. I'm going to go ahead and say that. As like a gentleman's carry knife, I mean, you can see how thin it is. This is not going to be a hard-use knife by any means. Takes a razor-sharp edge, right? And I do love that. I mean, it was shaving. Well, let's just show you. Right? I look like I have the mange. By the time summer comes, we keep shaving hair off my legs. And I have it like, and the edge retention is good. I will say that. But, gentleman's carry knife, yes. For a person that doesn't buy many different knives, yes, because you're going to train and perform the muscle memory habits it needs to not prevent it from deploying like it's supposed to, right? It would just become second nature. But since I'm used to deploying so many different types of knives, I have to carry this all the time, and it has to be the only knife that I use for it to get to the point to where I'm not doing that, right? So, is it a good knife? Yes, it's a good knife. Quality parts, quality steel for the blade, edge retention is good, takes a hair shaving sharp edge. That tip is stupid pointy. So the piercing ability of this is insane. I went to cut those little plastic straps off of a 6-pack of Cokes, right? And as soon as I went to cut one of them, I mean, this tip barely touched the Coke bottle, and it would... Piercing would be awesome, although I would not use this in a defensive situation. This would not be a defensive knife, simply because that lock... this being raised, because more than likely if you're in a defensive situation, you're not going to have the time to deploy the safety before you have to use it, right? Because if you're using a knife to defend yourself, it's a last ditch and you haven't had a lot of time to prepare for this, right? So that being said, I do like the knife. I do. I hate the fact that it keeps having that trouble over and over, right? It's discouraging. It is a good knife. It does have its quirks. But like I said, I mean, it's just going to have to be one of those where if you're not buying knives all that often, and you could make it to where that's how you deploy it every time because you just don't have to think about it. For me, since I use so many different knives, I have to consciously think about what I'm doing just so it doesn't do that, right? I don't want a knife that I have to do that with. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that up to you. And if you have one of these, please put in the description below and give me a comment to know if you've had any of these issues like this. But for me, I literally, what I'm getting out of it is that lock bar is just raised, and I know I just keep getting a grip on it, because when I consciously hold my hand away from it, right? Well, that was kind of a bad deployment. Let's see. Wow, several times in a row. I don't know. Maybe I will contact SOG and find out what issues they had. Because at first when I was doing it, it literally... I had that problem a few times, and I figured that must be what was happening, and that is why the person returned it. And so every time after, I mean, once I kind of got the way I was holding it, and I keep noticing, because I keep gripping with this part of my finger to deploy it, and I have to consciously stand away from it. I don't know. Maybe there is a functional issue with it. So put in the comments, let me know if you have this, if you had this same problem or not. I will contact SOG. It does have a lifetime warranty. So, I mean, if it is an issue with the spring and not me, as far as the deployment goes, then they'll fix it. The issue with using it to strike a ferro rod, that's going to remain, because, I mean, you got to be really conscious. I have to hold it sideways like this to make sure I'm not hitting that lock bar to push it down and to strike a ferro rod. But, alright, starting to ramble. Like I said, for the most part, this is I mean, as far as cutting tasks, outstanding. As far as disappearing in your pocket, I mean, and this is why I love these deep carry pocket clips. You know, all you see is a clip, your hands are in it. I mean, it's so thin, it's so lightweight, you just don't notice it. Like it, you can put other stuff in your pocket, no big deal. But it's the inconsistency of the deployment that's been killing me, right? So, alright guys, I hope this helps you in your purchasing decision. Please let me know what you think if you have one of these. In the meantime, I will also contact SOG and see what they say. But I've carried this for over a month, and for the most part I like it. It's just the inconsistent deployment that's killing me. Okay, guys. In the meantime, be prepared. Have fun.